Hey everybody, this is Adam and welcome back to my southern garden. So I went home for a week. My niece was getting her tonsils out. I went home to help, and just like what always happens, I come back and my garden has exploded with growth. I don't know if it's like a watched pot never boils, but it always seems like no matter what you do, when you're gone, things grow faster. Maybe it's because it's just not on your mind and you're not watching it every day. But some of my tomatoes started to get big and touch the ground. So I just wanted to show you how I'm going to support these tomatoes. Now, I'm growing dwarf tomatoes this year. I'm not growing anything that needs to go on a big trellis like a traditional tomato. So I wanted to let you see how I'm going to do this staking for tomatoes that are only going to get about 3 to 5 feet tall. So let me show you what I'm dealing with. Okay, so as you can see, this little bush beefsteak tomato decided to have a growth explosion while I was gone, and so the leaves are touching the soil, which we don't want to happen because we don't want to spread any disease into the plant, and that's how that happens usually. And it's just starting to kind of droop. I didn't have it put on its stake yet because it was too small when I left to actually stake. That's how fast this thing decided to grow. So the first thing I want to do is get this tomato attached to the stake, because that's where it's going to get its support for the rest of its growing, and I need to go ahead and get that situated. So I move this stake a little bit closer, and I'm going to just hammer it down into the ground next to my tomato so it's real nice and sturdy. So I have some of this garden wire, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and I am going to attach the tomato to this stake. Cut off any of these leaves that are on the ground. So what I do is I have my garden shears right here, and I have some water, and this has about a teaspoon of rubbing alcohol in it just to sanitize my shears. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to be doing this to a lot of tomatoes today, and I do not want to, if there was disease or anything like that, I do not want to pass it plant to plant. So every time I start working on a new plant, I dip it in the water and I start like that. When you make a clipping, you should be very close to the stem. Don't leave out a big node cutting out here or out here. Bring it very close to the body of the stem, and this will allow the tomato to kind of heal and callus over. What I'm looking to do when I do this is make a long stem up from the ground that will keep the tomato off of the dirt. Now as this grows, I will trellis this upright, and hopefully now on we won't have any issues with the leaves touching the ground. So that's how I am staking my tomatoes and how I am cutting them to prevent disease.